Welcome back to the Unraveled podcast. My name is Nina.
And my name's Alina.
And today I wanted to talk about confidence.
Okay.
Self-confidence, what that looks like, the different things that you often have to go through to really have true confidence and all that.
Sure.
So when you think of the word confidence, now that you've been through some things in your life, what are some traits that come to mind?
Having the ability to not care what anyone thinks, going with your gut, and also, but like a feeling that you have within you, what am I trying to say? Help me out here.
Well, I mean, just knowing who you are regardless, not getting your validation from people.
Other people, agreed.
Because people will say things that they mean or don't mean, but then if you know who you are regardless, then it doesn't really matter.
Correct. When I think of confidence, I think of validation from other people, because I feel like initially throughout life and growing up, you initially feel like your confidence is built on validation from other people and what other people think. But then over time, and it takes time to get to the mindset where you realize that your confidence and your self-worth doesn't come from the validation of other people, but mostly from how you truly feel about yourself. And again, like it takes time to build that confidence, but I promise you, once it's built, it's unbreachable. It's so secure that you aren't really concerned about what other people think.
And I know I've said this before in previous episodes, and maybe I say it too much, but I really, truly think, at least in my life, the way that I have been able to build self-confidence is not through what people have told me, but literally proving it to myself by keeping promises to myself. So I can look back 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago and see, I know you showed up. So now I know you'll show up again.
Correct.
Or this may have happened, but look how you handled it. And I think it's just something that happens over time.
Agreed.
And that's why you can't teach it to somebody at all. You really just have to build it. And so for some people, they learn it sooner than others. But I think everyone can learn it if they try to take the hard things in life or challenging things and turn it to good.
No, I totally agree. One thing I've been doing for myself lately is trying to build habits to help with, I think you can always strengthen your confidence. I think that's something 100%. That you can always do to improve it. Rather you currently have it or not, I think there's always room to strengthen it.
Yeah.
And one thing I've been doing personally, which I actually just started yesterday.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. But this is one thing that I'm working on and that I'm trying to build more confidence, but also build more trust in myself. And accountability within myself, because I have a really hard time with, what am I trying to say? I have a really hard time with building consistency in my life. And right now I'm having a really hard time with it. In the past, in different phases of my life, I've been good at it. This phase of my life, I've been really struggling with it.
Yeah.
So in order to build my confidence and build that part of my life, I'm working on habits. I've made a list of these different habits that I want to have. And every day I'm like checking them off to make sure that I'm building consistency within myself, to build also more faith in myself that, hey, Alina, you do have self-control and you can be more consistent in your life. And like some of the stuff on this list are so small, like when I wake up, fix my bed every day, taking my contacts out, because my contacts have been one of the things I've struggled with that I just do not take out.
Yeah.
But I won't even say how long or how often I take them out. Yeah, you don't want to know. But it's just like the small things that I'm like, I need to learn how to have more self-control, and build consistency in my life. So I'm doing these certain habits every single day to train myself that I'm capable of doing them. And simple things like that do help build confidence.
100%. And the truth is that you're not always going to feel like doing certain things.
Right.
You know, one day you might wake up and feel like doing all the things you're supposed to, but more often than not, at least for me, I don't feel like it. And that's where, because I've put habits in place, it helps. On the days that I don't feel like doing it, on the days that I feel down or whatever the case, the habits are there. It's an automatic response. And so it's just an extra boost, extra help, so that you're not just relying on feelings.
Right.
You're relying on fact, on habits, on things that you've built, on the structure. And I think it's a hugely important thing.
I totally agree.
Okay, habits. What would you tell somebody who is maybe struggling to put in habits in their life, or what habits should they pick? They don't know. Like when you were selecting some habits, how did you select those? What were your thoughts around that?
My thoughts around it and my thoughts of doing this is because I need to show up for myself more daily, and in consistent ways. So I picked things that I wasn't doing that I should be doing. Like taking my contacts out. I'm supposed to do that every day, but I got too comfortable and lazy that I wasn't doing every day. And I was like, you know what? I got to show up for myself better than this. And I'm going to start taking them out every single night. Like fixing my bed. Fixing my bed isn't like that big of a deal. Who cares? But again, it's helping me show up for myself in a different way and build consistency for myself. So I'm like, I'm going to fix my bed every single morning when I wake up before I leave the house. What else is on my list? No sweets. I have a very, very, very terrible sweet addiction. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to show up for myself this way differently.
I shouldn't bring brownies next podcast?
No. Actually, you can. I decided yesterday that I'm not going to put, at the end of the day, I can be tempted in any ways. I feel like anyone can be tempted in any way, whether you're struggling with alcohol, sweets, or whatever. Yeah. I need to be able to prepare myself for a normal day to day. And I can't be like, oh, you can't bring this. I don't want to be around this. I need to prepare my mindset for the fact to have self-control. And if I'm telling people, no, you can't bring this around my house, or you can't bring alcohol, whatever, it's not preparing me for the real world, because then I'm not going to be able to set myself up for self-control if it's not around me. If it's not within reach, then I can't build self-control like that. So bring it around. That's cool. It's going to help me build that self-control part of it. So essentially within these habits, I'm picking things that I'm struggling with and that I'm not doing to show up for myself differently and to build consistency in my life. So again, I'm only on day 2, and I'm very committed to being faithful to this journey. I may have sweets or something afterwards, but again, I'm trying to show up for myself and build consistency and build self-control, which is why I'm trying to do this I'm shooting for like a 30 to 60 day period. I haven't really decided yet. Cool. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I've decided the habits that I want to do, but again, like just trying to be I'm trying to build those 3 traits within myself, which will all help me build confidence in different ways. So I don't know.
That's awesome. I think I found that a byproduct of putting in habits, and I didn't expect this at all, and I didn't necessarily know, but was that it helped my mental health, because I would start to feel a sense of accomplishment and that serotonin boost each time I did a little thing. So like making your bed, or going to a boot camp or workout class, whatever you're telling yourself you're going to do, each time I would actually do those things, that sense of accomplishment, it just boosted my mental health. And so the result was just a positive increase, more productive, happier, better with clients, better with relationships, all that kind of stuff. And I never thought it would necessarily go that way, but it makes sense if you think about it. You know, if we're able to get a sense of accomplishment from smaller things, then we don't have to rely solely on these big,
or validation from other people.
Exactly. You don't necessarily need to go on a trip or have a closing to feel proud of yourself. You can feel proud of yourself every day.
Right. I totally agree. And it also gives yourself reassurance on who you are and what you're capable of, which I think is very important when you're building confidence. Is you have to know who you are. Definitely. And you have to believe that you're capable of certain things. And when you start off small, like, oh, I'm going to fix my bed every morning. Okay, that's something you weren't doing before, but now you're capable of it. And then you show up for yourself again in a different way with another different habit or something that you weren't doing before, because again, it helps you. I'm going to brain fart.
I mean, it just proves that you can do it.
Yes, correct.
And it really just shows, let's say you're facing something in business or in your personal life that you've never done before. You don't have to be afraid, because now you can look back at yourself and say, look, I didn't used to do that, but now I am doing it. So what's stopping me from doing this? It just gives you more confidence and assurance in yourself. Because for me, at least, someone could tell me all day, every day that I'm awesome. It doesn't actually
mean anything.
Like I don't absorb it.
And you may not believe it either, because you can give people compliments all the time and they'll be like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, I don't believe it. Because they lack the confidence in that area, or they lack the self-confidence in general, that they can't accept that compliment because they don't feel secure in whatever that is. And
although I will say, depending on who gives you the compliment, it should have more weight than others.
That is true. True.
So if some stranger or a client calls me up with a criticism versus my sister, who knows me very well, I'm going to listen to that feedback differently, even if it was the exact same thing, because I don't necessarily care about what some people think or say, but someone who knows you, loves you, cares about you, if you're like, hey girl, that's a problem, then it's different, you know?
I saw this TikTok the other day, and this is probably a terrible example, but it was like this girl was leaving for work. This girl was leaving to go out with her friends, or I don't know, somewhere, and her partner, didn't say anything. And then she goes to the gas station, and then the crackhead on the corner is like, "Excuse me, ma'am, you look so beautiful." And she's like, it doesn't matter, because again, she doesn't want the validation from the crackhead at the gas station. She wanted the validation from her husband at home. So it just shows it really doesn't matter. It shows that it matters who's giving you
100%
the feedback. Again, probably a terrible example, but I think it gets the point.
Yeah. And if I could go back in time, and speak to my younger self, or, I tell this to my sisters all the time, the sooner that you start to enjoy your own company and love yourself and build that life with yourself, the sooner everything else is going to get better, because it affects your relationships and family and everything.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Totally agree. Also, I would say, like, investing time in yourself is a huge part of building yourself and building confidence in yourself.
Definitely.
If you're not willing to make the time for yourself to do these things and put in the work, it makes it harder to build that confidence.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's all about priorities. And sometimes I know for myself, when I was younger, I didn't necessarily think something was a priority like it should, but I told my sister, for example, if you do certain things, you wait till you're 30 to do certain things, I'll give you $10,000. And I'm serious, because
you want her to wait till she's 30, or you want her to accomplish certain things before she's 30.
Well, they both go hand in hand. Like, if your focus is more on yourself, the good things that are going to come into your life will come anyway. You don't have to try to fight it or force it or anything like that.
That's actually very true.
And so that's really what I was telling her. So going to write up a contract, get that in writing, because it's so much more valuable than $10,000, because
Correct.
the mindset, the self-love, all that kind of stuff is huge.
Because you're building your life. You're basically building your life on a more solid foundation, and your future on a solid foundation, by having these traits, and putting yourself first, investing time in yourself, preparing your mindset, by having better confidence.
Yeah. And I think I've experienced that the more that you are who you are, more authentic, you don't have to pretend to be somebody else, you don't have to put on airs, then people will gravitate towards you. Your people will find you.
Correct.
The more authentic you are.
Correct.
And so
people also sense when you lack confidence and when you do have confidence.
Definitely.
And you're going to attract certain people by the energy that you have.
And then the result of that is you become more like them. So it's kind of like this vicious cycle of everyone's insecure, toxicity, all that kind of stuff. But, like we were just talking about this, reading for 15 minutes a day. There's some people that they can read for hours and hours at a time. Some people, depending on your personality or your learning style, you can't necessarily do that. But
or your work, your lifestyle.
Exactly. And so just little things you can incorporate. It doesn't have to be a huge step. Oftentimes the smallest changes have the biggest benefit.
Agreed. So, and I know we talked earlier about the whole reading thing, and I had mentioned that every single year I have on my list, I'm going to read a book every month. I'm going to do this every month. And I never, ever accomplish it. But then on this new habit thing that I'm doing, I'm taking it by the day. And when I set a goal for myself before to read a book every month, I couldn't tell you if it was probably impractical or practical to set that kind of goal. I don't know, but I never accomplished it. Versus this time, I'm going to take a little step into trying to get there. So this time I'm reading, I told you it was 30 minutes a day, but you told me 15. So I'm like, okay, I might try 15. Maybe I'll shoot for 30. And then if I can't get there 30, I'll do 15. Yeah. But like you said, it's the point of just taking that initiative to do a little something every day to get to the goal.
And that way, whether we're listening to something or reading something, we're now able to learn from someone else's experience. And so then it just adds that layer of depth and knowledge, and then we can look at other people and view the world differently. So when you pair that with building habits, building your own trust, I just think it builds a beautiful person, or it has the potential to build a beautiful person. And I see it happening in different friends and family members, and it's so cool to watch. When someone's developing and realizing who they are, what they deserve, and all that kind of stuff. I I don't know. It's like a piece of art you're watching.
And you mentioned what they deserve, which I think is huge in building that self-confidence because whether it's in a relationship, a friendship, or, you know, in your work life, you have to set standards for what you deserve. And you're only capable of doing that when you're able to build confidence in yourself to be able to say, I'm not tolerating this. I don't deserve this. Especially when I feel like you're in a client relationship with customers. Well, I mean, in a relationship with clients. That is huge in having confidence. And then just a little story. I've had I won't even tell a story actually. And I feel like when you're in the industry, when you're working with someone else, rather you get to pick that client or that client picks you, whatever. I strongly believe that customers and clients have this idea that just because you work for them, they can treat you however they want to treat you. But when you have that confidence, you're like, no, you're not going to treat me that way. I'm not going to accept that. You can pick to work with me, but I also get to pick if I don't want to work with you, and I will drop it.
I always tell people that, and usually I can see their face like being shocked. I'll tell them, I mean, this meeting or our discussions
goes both ways.
Not only are you trying to find out if you're a good fit, you know, to hire me, but it goes both ways. I'm trying to figure out if I want to work with you. And when I tell them that, they're like, oh, like shocked. But it's true, because sometimes if it's not a good fit, it's not worth, you know, for both parties. And being able to know that and not just take every deal or work with every client, you know, I definitely wasn't that way at the beginning, but now, believe me.
Tell me about it.
Believe me, I will not work with certain people.
And it's funny, the clients that I've had to have the most conversations with about, you know, being respectful. Like, respect goes both ways. I'm going to treat you a certain way and I expect the same in return. Like, you're not going to talk to me disrespectfully. We may disagree on things. That's fine. That's part of life, but I will not tolerate this disrespect, and nor should you tolerate disrespect from me. And the clients that I've had to have the conversations with that you will respect me and my employees, they've been the most toughest conversations, but it's crazy to this day. We're like best friends. We have the best relationship. One of them was like, oh, Lena, come fly out. They got a new jet or plane or whatever. And he was like, oh, I want to take you for a ride on the new plane. Just 5 months ago, we got in an argument because you were disrespectful to my employees and our handymen. But now we have a great relationship. So I feel like it's very good to set that. I feel like, number one, confidence is going to build that, because it's going to allow you to determine what you're willing to tolerate, what you're not willing to tolerate, based on what you feel like you deserve. But it also allows people to not walk over you anymore, because 100%. You stood up for yourself, and letting them know, I'm not willing to tolerate this.
And I think having those conversations are hard, but you'll get a very clear-cut result. They will either walk away and you're not a good fit, and that happens. That's okay.
And that should be. And if you have the confidence, you'll realize that you're more than okay with someone walking away.
Definitely.
Because you're not willing to tolerate a certain level of disrespect.
And you're not willing to have that same lifestyle. It's just like, listen, it's okay if we don't work together because this is not the standard anyway. But the people that actually care and the people that are supposed to be a part of your life, they will take that and make the adjustment. Like you said, 5 months later, hey, let's take a ride on the jet.
Right.
You know? So I just think that, and obviously we've talked about it before and we'll continue to talk about it, but whether it's personal or business, like if you could give advice to anybody, where would you say one thing to do to build a habit or confidence, something easy that they could do immediately that will benefit their life, regardless of the industry they're in, regardless of their age, experience? What would you say?
Figure out something that you're not doing that you need to do, or something that you want to do, and start doing little things to build towards that. And that's just in habits, little habits that you need to do to start having faith in yourself that you're capable of doing them and being consistent. You just need to show up for yourself, whether it's small or big. I would suggest starting off smaller, because then it helps get you there. Don't do anything too overwhelming, but show up for yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I think that wraps us up today. Thank you for joining us. We will release a new episode every Wednesday. You can find us on social media or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for watching.
Bye.